everybody. I'm Nicole.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Sarah, and together we're the co-founders of Whale Tales, a living library of cetacean stories.
And today we are talking about teeth.
Plus, super exciting dolphin tale.
Yee! Nicole goes supersonic.
So sit back and enjoy as we dive right in.
Hello everybody. It's time to talk about teeth and not ours.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah, that's weird. No, we are talking about all cetaceans who fall in the parv order.
Oh, Jesus.
Not just order. I will promise not to go on a giant rant about all of the suborders and parv orders and mega orders and all of the things, because if you'd like to read my thoughts on the new various ways that nomenclature and phylogenetic structures are organized, I wrote a whole blog about it, and we'll put that in the show notes. But specifically, we are talking about Odontocetes. So these are toothed whales. And for a little fun ancient Greek lesson, Odontocete is a very nice, easy root word. It comes from odonto, which is tooth, and knutsis, which is whale. I absolutely butchered the pronunciation there, but don't blame me, I don't speak Greek. But yeah, it comes from the two ancient Greek words tooth and whale, and Odontocetes are the all cetaceans under the parv order that are teethed. Sarah, which cetaceans does that encompass?
This includes toothed whales, obviously, so things like sperm whales, and it also includes all of the dolphins and porpoises. Yes, that's right. This means that toothed whales and dolphins and porpoises are all whales. So that means things like grouping dolphins under whales is not wrong. It's just less specific than you could be. And also, like, killer whales are dolphins, but they are also whales.
Ooh.
A simple example to think about this is like, because it's easy to define what they are. So like a rectangle is a shape that has 4 sides and right corners. That includes squares. Squares are rectangles, just like dolphins are whales. Lindsay and Nicole are laughing because they've heard me rant about this so many times. But yeah, so squares are just like a more specific, narrow example of rectangles. Same how dolphins and porpoises are a more specific, narrow group of whales.
Correct.
The end.
No.
Correct.
Hooray!
No notes. No notes. And for listeners who might have just chosen this episode at random as your first introduction to Whale Tales and what we're all about, hi, welcome. And we've just come out of Orco Action Month or Orco Awareness Month, where there's a lot of talk about whether they're orcas or killer whales or dolphins or whales, and we have feelings, but that's not what we're talking about today.
Nope, we're talking about teeth, and they all have teeth.
They do,
and they are all of those things that you just said. So
it's true.
Anyway, let's get back on
Lindsay,
track.
Tell us what shape their teeth are. What shapes do Odontocete teeth come in?
Teeth shaped? Well, so they come in the more traditional cone shape. Is probably what you think of the most when you think of toothed whale teeth, especially if you've seen a killer whale jaw or like a bottlenose dolphin or maybe a beluga. Or tooth shape. Yeah, just a tooth shape. Very toothy. And then we also have spade shaped, which is kind of what porpoises are, and they're just flatter. But still, a triangle or something like that. Doing a lot of hand motions that no one can see. Anyway. And then we also, if you're looking at toothed whales that are not dolphins or porpoises or sperm whales, we've got beaked whales, which have crazy sorts of teeth all around. But the craziest one of all would be the ginkgo toothed beaked whale, which are shaped like a ginkgo leaf of a tree. It's pretty nuts. I suggest you Google it or check out our naming of things on the ginkgo toothed beaked whale, because it's weird. They're the weirdest ones of all.
So weird.
Awesome. They have the weirdest teeth. They win. They win.
I think we did that.
Yeah.
Didn't we do that?
Yeah, I think so.
It was in one of the whale Olympics or dolphin Olympics that we did. Yeah. So since we're talking about teeth And specifically, sort of the teeth of all of these whales, dolphins, and porpoises. You might be wondering, well, what are teeth made of? Are they similar to human teeth? Are they different? And oh, doggy, there are lots of similarities and lots of differences. Structurally, cetacean teeth are made of the same sorts of minerals that human and basically all mammal teeth are made of. So they're made mostly of a substance called dentin, also known as ivory, so similar to sort of tusks of elephants and other things. It's a 75 to 95% mineralized tissue that contains things like collagen. It has a similar structure to human teeth as well, in that cetacean teeth have roots that go below the gum line, and then they protrude or emerge through the gum lines. So just like a human tooth, if any of you have ever had any of your teeth pulled, if you have your wisdom teeth and you get to look at and they're super like, wow, look at how gnarly those are, the roots that like went way, way, way deep into your gum. Cetacean teeth are very similar. So there's an exposed portion that you can see, and there's a much larger, usually it's at least the same size, if not sometimes twice as large size, that goes down into their jaw, which is how it's rooted there. It also makes a lot of sense if you think about how cetaceans use their teeth. They are putting quite a lot of force on their teeth because they use their teeth to catch their prey, and sometimes specifically like rip parts of their prey off of the prey. And so there's a lot of pressure on the teeth, so you need a really, really strong root system to ensure that the teeth don't fall out. So the crown, which is the part of the tooth that kind of protrudes from the gun, that's covered with enamel, but it has nerves in it, just like a human tooth does. And as the animal ages, there are layers of dentin that grow over time. And so this is not something that's like transferable across all cetaceans, but in some species you can actually age them by looking at a cross section of their teeth, the same way that you look at a cross section of a tree, and you can correspond or sort of correlate the number of rings of dentin. Is it dentin or dentine? Dentin? Dentin. Sure. You can look at how many layers of dentin there are in a cross section of a cetacean tooth, and it's not year by year. So sometimes in some species, like belugas, dentin comes over, I think it's like a 6-month period, and then sometimes it's like a 2-year period in other species. But if you know how quickly dentin sort of is produced in the species and you look at a cross section, you can tell the age of that animal, just like you do the growth rings of a tree.
Let's talk about tooth size, because whales are large, as you might have noticed, and so some of them can have very large teeth. It might come as no surprise, but the whale that has the largest tooth is the narwhal, because they have a tusk, which is a tooth.
But they're unicorns!
And they are unicorns, but it's a tooth, not a horn, and it's about 2.7 meters long, that one tooth. All their other teeth are like normal-sized whale teeth. But the whale that has sort of the biggest array of teeth,
more like traditional looking
teeth, like teeth that are fully contained within their mouth, is the sperm whale. And sperm whale teeth can be up to 8 inches long, which includes the root under the gum, so it's not just, that's like the whole tooth if it came out. And sperm whale teeth are very cool and very strange. They have like 30 to 60 of them only in their lower jaw, which is very odd. And if you've heard of something called scrimshaw, sperm whales, that's like carvings done originally by Inuit people and then adopted by whalers and sailors, where they carved and did artwork on sperm whale teeth.
Oh, yeah, cool. That makes sense.
Very cool. Who has the smallest teeth?
Everybody.
I'm gonna take a wild guess.
Everybody.
And say that it's everybody else is all small, but probably like tiny porpoises have the smallest ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically everybody else.
I'll just tell you, our listeners, that finding any kind of definitive data on which cetacean had the smallest teeth was absolutely impossible because nobody cared. And
Oh.
I mean, the truth is, the three of us have been lucky enough in our lives to actually see cetacean teeth quite up close in living cetaceans. And the truth is, when you look at smaller dolphins, like Pacific white-sided dolphins, even bottlenose dolphins, they're not very small dolphins, and harbor porpoises and things, their teeth, they're so small, and they're just like little needles. Like, they're not even in all three of those species I just mentioned, their teeth aren't even as big as my pinky fingernail. They are small and sharp, needle-like looking, like really sharpened pencils.
Yeah, yeah, little pencil points in their mouth. Yeah, because they don't use them in the same way that we use our teeth. Like they only have one shape of tooth, so they only really use them for grabbing and scraping. Yeah, they don't need to be that big for that.
Yeah. So that's not information that is accessible online. Basically, if you
But
aren't a sperm whale, if you are a medium to small sized dolphin or porpoise, your teeth are small. But you have lots of them sometimes.
And sometimes they crunch turtle shells, and sometimes they eat sharks, and sometimes they just grab a fish or a squid and it sucks down, and they're not really there for anything except your
decoration.
beautiful smile.
Yay.
Okay, so let's look at some stuff that we do know about teeth and cetaceans. Who has the most and who has the least? So this is actually something that's very random that I didn't know. Long-beaked common dolphins have more teeth than any other dolphins, with up to 240. And rhesus dolphins have the fewest. They have between 4 and 14 on their lower jaw only, which doesn't seem like enough.
No. No, especially because
Yeah.
those two species eat the same thing. They eat small schooling fish and squid.
But both those you can just swallow, so I don't know why
Yeah.
long-beaked common dolphins have them. I guess they've got a long beak, so they gotta fill it with something. I don't know.
Probably. In beaked whales, in the majority of cases, only adult males have functional teeth. Several female and juvenile males have had vestigial teeth underneath their gums, which is also weird. But most adult male beaked whales usually only have two, located on their mandible or their lower jaw, which is all of this is weird low jaw stuff. Again, because we're humans, so we think with the top in general, but I'm just like, what does the top one look like? What is it there for? Why is this?
Well,
Hello?
in sperm whales, because their teeth are so big, there are actually like divots in their upper jaw to have room for these gigantic teeth to fit in when they close their mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Because their teeth are giant size, and they need to trap those big squids in there.
Okay, so every time, both in researching for today's episode, as well as every time that we've talked about cetacean teeth in the past, when we've done like a species-specific podcast episode, listeners might have noticed that when we talk about how many teeth a specific species might have, there's usually quite a range. And this has always bothered me. I think I've even mentioned this on the podcast in the past. It might have just been pre-recording, but I know that I've talked to you two about the fact that I don't understand. I really, really don't understand how all humans, except in extremely rare cases, and I don't include just like hockey players in this, just like most humans, once they lose their baby teeth and grow their adult teeth, they will have 32 teeth. That is, like, if you ask Google how many teeth do humans have, 32 is a fixed number that shows up for you. And yet, with pretty much every single species, like you even just said, Lindsay, when you were talking about rhesus dolphins, they have between 4 and 14 teeth. And,
which is a weird range for having so few teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but why? And killer whales have between 40 and 56 teeth. Like, that's a huge range of teeth to have. And so I've always really, really wondered, like, what the hell is going on with cetacean teeth? Well, as it turns out, I'm not the only one who's ever wondered about this. So we will have a link in the show notes to a free full article. Hooray, we love free full articles. Yay, science. And though the article doesn't actually answer the question, it does explore
the unique world of the evolution of cetacean teeth. And it's focused on teeth. So it's focused on toothed whales and not on baleen whales. That's for another podcast episode, maybe even our next one. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of like the findings from this article because it was fascinating to me. And in particular, it talks about how cetacean teeth, specifically odontocete teeth, so toothed whale teeth, are different than any other mammal. So not just different from baleen whales or different from, you know, like whoever it is, they're completely unique in the mammalian world. And one of the sort of things that this article supposes is if you think about the evolutionary success of mammals, not marine mammals, all mammals on Earth, one of the things, you know, after the whatever extinction event happened with the dinosaurs and how mammals kind of like exploded and took over, one of the biggest things mammals have going for them, there's a lot, but one of the biggest things we all have going for them is we have a really high metabolic rate. And a high metabolic rate as mammals is sustainable because we can process food really efficiently. One of the best ways that mammals, aside from toothed whales, process food is because of our teeth. So we can catch our food or we can gather our food. We don't need to be predator mammals, whatever it is. We use the fact that we have interlocking teeth. So if you close your mouth right now, or if you've ever been to the dentist, they've asked you to bite, and they kind of like pull your gums apart, like everybody knows we're wondering, you like pull your gums apart and you bite your teeth together. Your teeth interlock together, or they should. And that's true for all mammals. We also have different shaped teeth in our mouths. And one of the things that you learn in kind of like introductory ecology classes is that you can usually tell what the main diet of a species is by looking at their teeth. And do they have more canines compared to molars, or bigger molars compared to incisors? And all of this tells you a lot about what they eat. So it's fascinating that all odontocetes, whether they have all cone-shaped teeth or all spade-shaped teeth, they're all the same. They don't have any, like, if you're a bottlenose dolphin, every single one of your over 100 teeth is going to look exactly the same. You're not going to have any kind of specific dentition. And yet they are equally, if not more effective at their metabolic rate than terrestrial mammals who have all this crazy teeth stuff going on. What this article says is particularly interesting about this is the evolution of all of the sort of like specific mammalian teeth structures and sort of bite that we have, where our teeth interlock really well and we can use our teeth to rip and tear and chew, which allows us to process our food, which means we have a higher metabolic rate, all of those things that make mammals awesome. Marine mammals, or sorry, cetaceans, because seals do have molars most of the time, they lost this at the origin of mammals 220 million years ago. So dolphins and toothed whales and porpoises, it just wasn't important to them in their evolutionary success to have the same kind of multicuspid teeth that every other mammal, whether it is a marine mammal or a terrestrial mammal, has. And when you think about the incredibly varied diet of toothed whales, so you have everything from sperm whales hunting giant squid to, I mean, just look at killer whales. Just look at the variety of different food that killer whales eat. But every single killer whale, because again, we go back to the fact that they're all technically considered the same species. Every ecotype of killer whale starts with the same kind of teeth. Yes, offshores end up with like really, really ground down teeth because of the really tough skins of the sharks that they're eating, but they'll start with the same kind of tooth structure. So these conical shaped teeth can eat everything from squid to turtle shells, like you were saying, Liz. So it's just bananas to me. As I said, the article...
killer whales don't eat bananas.
No, you're right. They don't. You're right. They don't. The article doesn't really, like, propose any answers to these questions, but sometimes it's really interesting just to think about like this. It's just these questions are really cool. And another thing the article talks about is what will be the fun flipper fact for this episode, which is I don't want to give it away, but just the evolution of teeth and the fact that cetaceans don't just have teeth toothed whales don't just have teeth unique in the cetacean world. They have teeth that are unique in multiple ways across absolutely all mammals. And yet they have been able to diversify and fill all kinds of different ecological niches all throughout saltwater and freshwater bodies on Earth. And I think that is awesome.
Hooray! Teeth
Teeth
are weird.
They're weird and they're cool, and we like them. And I guess so do Odontocetes.
Yes, true story. So before we continue with the rest of the episode, we just want to take a moment to tell you about how you can help support us at the podcast and everything we do here at Whale Tales.
You can join us by becoming a patron at patreon.com/whaletales. You can come hang out for $1 a month at the porpoise level, $5 a month at the dolphin level, or $10 a month at the whale level.
And each level comes with a variety of perks, including access to polls that we post so that you can help kind of direct what we're doing with the podcast. We send thank you postcards. You get access to extended interviews and extra stories that we have with our guests. And you can even produce your own fun flipper fact segment of the pod. Plus, our whale level patrons get access to a special Patreon only podcast, Whale Tales Watches. In our latest episode, we went to go and see the new live-action CGI version of The Little Mermaid, and we talked all about that and what they got right and what they got wrong. And if you like hot men in wetsuits, you're gonna really enjoy our Whale Tales Watches next month.
So thank you, patrons. You are amazing. Thank you for supporting us through all of this, and thank you for giving us a reason to go watch hot men in wetsuits.
If you aren't able to support us financially, we completely understand. There's still things, though, that you can do that would really help us out at the podcast. You can leave us a rating or a review on your podcast platform, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This will help other people find us. And you can also just tell your cetacean and science-y podcast people in your life so that they can listen to the podcast as well.
We love it. And you can tell us what we could do to make the podcast even better. You can follow us on social media at whaletales_org and send us your feedback so that we can just make every episode better and more full of awesome whale facts and talking about marine biologists and hot actors in wetsuits. Okay. Do you know what time it is, everybody?
Yay.
It's time. It's time for Fun Flipper fact. I realized too late that I think in one of our orca awareness episodes, I said I was gonna have musical accompaniment for our next whale tale, for our next Fun Flipper fact, and I'm sorry, I didn't do that. But one day I will. Instead, today I am talking about something that's also very, very prevalent in my real life, because my real life 1.5-year-old is getting his last baby teeth. He is currently going through the 2-year-old molar. Fun, even though he's not 2. It's great. And so for today's Fun Flipper fact, I wanted to share, do baby whales, specifically baby Odontocetes, so whales, dolphins, and porpoises that all have teeth, do they get baby teeth? And if so, are they born with them? Do they grow? Does it suck as much for their cetacean parents as it does for human cetacean parents to deal with a child who's growing teeth? And do they lose their teeth? And do they get more teeth? All of these things. And the answer is no. I mean, yes, they're born with teeth. Sometimes. The different species sometimes do actually have to go through a teething process. Baby belugas, for example, it's mostly gum when they're first born, and then their teeth do emerge, but they don't get baby teeth. No species of cetacean gets more than one set of teeth. If they have teeth, whichever teeth emerge or don't in the case of like beaked whales, where they're just like sometimes just nothing comes through the gun. That must be nice. They only get one set, and if they lose them, well, too bad, so sad. They're not going to get any more. No tooth fairy visiting any odontocete out there in the ocean.
Well, that's good. That would be complicated.
Yeah,
She'd
she
need to
can't
get a
swim.
Snorkel and
Yeah,
it'd
her
just be a lot.
wings would get all wet.
Yeah.
I don't know. The tooth fairy seems to give out like dollar bills now for teeth, so that'd get all wet too. And
What's a whale gonna do with money?
I know, right? Yes, this is known as Diphyodontia.
Diphyodontia, yeah.
Thank you. Diphyodontia, which is what happens in all other mammals. So it's not just humans that get baby teeth and then they fall out and then they get bigger teeth. Most other mammals actually do go through Diphyodontia, where they lose their baby teeth and grow new ones. But Odontocetes are the exception to the rule amongst mammals, just like everything else we were talking about.
Yep.
Their teeth are really cool and special to them. They only have one set. They keep it for life. Hope they're in good condition, but it doesn't really seem to bother them that much if they're not. See offshore killer whales who have no problem eating sharks even when their teeth have been ground down like sandpaper.
Yeah.
So there you go. Fun flipper fact.
Now we'll go to our whale tale. Speaking of the, medium-sized tooth whales, we've got a story for the brand new species for our website from our new Twitter friend, Emily Cunningham. It's a marine biologist doing work in the Antarctica, and here's a story about her first sighting of Commerson's dolphins.
Hello, Whale Tales podcast listeners. My name is Emily Cunningham and I'm a marine biologist and ocean conservationist from England. I've spent much of the last year working on board an expedition ship in Antarctica and South America, and today I'm going to share a dolphin tale with you all. And I share my adventures in marine science and conservation on Instagram at Marine Biology Life, so please do come and say hi there. I'm always keen to meet other whale and dolphin fans. Now, my story begins deep in the bowels of the expedition ship I work on. And I was fully dressed in all of my gear and waiting for the green light from the captain that we could launch our Zodiacs. Zodiacs are a kind of inflatable boat that we use for our expedition and science activities. So I was down there and my phone rang with a call from my colleague on the bridge. Emily, there are Commerson's dolphins alongside the ship. Now, we'd just spent 13 days sailing down the Atlantic Ocean. During that time, I had talked incessantly about Commerson's dolphins. It was a dolphin I had never seen before, and my crewmates all knew how much I wanted to see one. But I was on standby to deploy a Zodiac. I was at work. And I looked across at the big shell door in the side of the ship. It was firmly closed. And yet there were Commerson's dolphins just the other side of it, completely hidden from me. I felt like this might be my only chance in my whole life that I might get to see them. What if they were gone by the time I got in my Zodiac? I had to take the chance. Back in 2 minutes, I announced to my crewmates before running for the stairwell. So we were in the Falkland Islands and we were making a short stopover on our journey from Europe to Antarctica. And it was early spring, and so I was dressed for cold temperature, wind and rain. So that means I was wearing thermal base layers, mid layers, warm layers, waterproof outer layers, huge rubber boots and a life jacket. And I had decided to run up 6 flights of stairs hoping to see a dolphin. Now, I first heard about Commerson's dolphins when I was a child. I was a dolphin mad child. I had one painted on my bedroom wall. I was already firmly set on becoming a marine biologist. And so I was completely overjoyed when I learned about the tiny black and white dolphins that they called the sea panda, the Commerson's dolphins. And I had read in a book that I had borrowed from the library that Commerson's dolphins were found in the waters around the southern tip of South America, as well as the Galen Islands. But I'd never ever dreamed that I'd get the chance to see them with my own eyes. So back to me running up 6 flights of stairs in full expedition gear. By the time I reached deck 5 of the ship, I burst through the doors out onto the open deck, completely breathless and sweating buckets. Before me was a sweeping view of Saunders Island. the fourth largest of the over 700 islands that make up the Falkland Islands archipelago. A rounded green hill dominated the skyline, fringed by a spectacular white sandy beach and azure blue waters. But as if to remind me that I was over 50 degrees south of the equator, despite the tropical looking waters, a freezing wind whipped up off the Atlantic Ocean and stung my cheeks. As I caught my breath, I peered over the railings, my eyes darting from wave to wave in fruitless hope of seeing a dolphin. Wave, 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 dolphin! Immediately below me, the unmistakable black and white of a Commerson's dolphin was coursing through the clear blue water like a bottle rocket. It zipped along the ship, surfacing for a split second to breathe before disappearing from view. Excitement coursed through me like electricity. I cheered, jumped up and down, and did a happy dance. And then a second one appeared, then a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh. A bird's eye view, me on deck looking down at 7 Commerson's dolphins zooming around the ship. Lucky me. Commerson's dolphins have their rounded black fin, black head, black tail, and a pure white body. They're one of the smallest cetaceans in the world, and their unique black and white coloration gives them the nickname of sea panda. They're stocky and short, more like a porpoise in their build, but they are indeed a dolphin. And so I was totally lost in the moment, enjoying my view of the dolphins, when the shrill ring of my phone brought me back to reality. No more time to stand on the deck watching dolphins. I had work to do. It was time to go back down to deploy my Zodiac. So I ran back down the stairs at a speed that would have given Usain Bolt a fair challenge, and I jumped into a Zodiac being lowered into the water and prayed with all my might that the dolphins would still be there. And as my colleagues and I headed to shore in our Zodiac, me as a passenger, don't worry, I wasn't driving, I was scanning the waves constantly, hoping for a close-up view of those same Commerson's dolphins. But all I saw was waves, 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 waves. At least I saw them from the ship, I reasoned with myself after 15 minutes of nothing but waves, trying to soothe the crushing disappointment gripping my heart. I turned around to focus on the view instead, trying to take in the white sands and turquoise waters, when of course a little black fin broke the surface less than 20 metres in front of me. And immediately our boatload of seasoned marine scientists, naturalists and expedition guides, we all turned into giddy children, and we watched with whoops and squeals of unbridled joy as the same 7, maybe more, Commerson's dolphins approached our Zodiac, their little black faces turning towards us to check us out, a mutual curiosity. And that's the thing I love most about cetaceans. That intrigue is mutual. I'm incredibly lucky to have had many interactions with whales, dolphins and porpoises all around the world. But the most magical of those interactions are where you make and maintain eye contact with them. It's where a wild and free creature chooses to come and investigate you on their own terms, and then they stick around because they're curious. It's those moments of interspecies communication between me and a wild cetacean, well, they're extremely special. It's when my scientist mask slips and when I let myself be a dolphin-mad 8-year-old once more. I don't know how long the Commerson dolphins stayed with us, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 20, but the memories of the sea pandas bow riding alongside our Zodiac, twisting and turning as they swam beneath us, and their repeated approaches, heads tilted to check us out, they will stay with me forever.
Oh my gosh. Emily, thank you so much for your amazing story. It was fantastic, and I could feel your excitement. Thank you for sharing.
Before we head out for this episode, we wanted to share some actions that you can take, as always, to help support whales and their ocean and their environment and their dental hygiene. It is currently July, which is commonly the month where we talk about being plastic free, and I'm not really a person to preach being completely like black and white plastic free, but it is a good excuse, and there's lots of resources on the internet and social media to help you like think about your plastic usage and think about how you can be more thoughtful and intentional with it, especially your usage of single-use plastic. And so one thing that I've found is, for example, if you're buying things at a small market and you go like a neighborhood store, you'll find lots of produce. I mean, and there's exceptions to this. There's produce wrapped in plastic at any store, but it's summer, like fresh local fruit season. And so at like a small local store or a farmer's market, everything's in like little cardboard punnets. You can take them as so, or you can dump them into your own produce bags or containers, versus if you shop at like a big box grocery store, most of the time, I have, at least in my experience, all of the like berries and fruit are all in plastic containers. Even the local stuff has been, it was like, oh, sweet, they've got local berries. And they were in cardboard things, but then wrapped in saran wrap. And that was annoying. Like, I understand because germs, blah, blah, blah. But like, and transport. But, you know, if you're trying to be intentional with your plastic, and also if you are buying local, there's other advantages. Like, you're buying local, and they are so delicious.
Yes, they are delicious.
Plastic Free July. Think about how you can make some parts of your life less plasticky.
I think that brings us to the end of the episode. We would love to hear your thoughts on this or any episode that we've ever done, ever. So please visit our website, whale-tales.org, and find links to all of the different ways that you can tell us your thoughts about our episodes on all of our social medias. We would love to hear from you.
You can also head to our website to subscribe to our podcast, check out our over 1,200 whale, dolphin, and porpoise stories, and learn about supporting us and becoming a patron.
That's whale-tales.org. Tales like the stories, not tales like the animal.
And if you've seen a cetacean, we would love to add your story to our website or to our library. You can click the share link on our website. You can contact us on social media. We're at whaletales_org on Instagram and also Threads if you're into that. I don't really understand. Or you can also just email us a voice memo and tell us all about your incredible cetacean encounter.
Finally, we want to acknowledge that we recorded today's episode on the unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples and the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, as well as the homelands of the Tawasin First Nation.
Thanks everybody so much, and we hope you have a whaley great day.